Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Board. And coming up here on today's show, Mel Kiper mock draft breakdown. I'm going to tell you who he has the silver and black taking at number 7, give my 2 cents on it, and then, maybe even say what I would have done. And then we're even going to go into a more of a scouting report around the player that Mel decided to take at number 7. If you haven't already, if you're looking for more Raiders videos, subscribe. Turn on your notifications because I want to give more shout-outs to the Noti gang. I know people who are always taking a lot of pride in trying to be one of the first people to comment on our videos. I see you, and I appreciate the hell out of you. So shout-out to Julian Diaz, Isaac Hernandez, I Am Legend Zero, B-Rabe, Raider Roach. These are the people that commented the first 5 times on the video that I dropped bright and early this morning from Josh McDaniels' press conference. So let's get in now to this Mel Kiper mock draft. If y'all are ready to rock out with your mock out, like the video. Here we go, Kiper, first pick. Well, guess what? We got to trade. The Bears are going to trade back with the Houston Texans. And I'm just going to say this right now. I hate when Mel or any other draft analyst just says TBD. If you're going to have the balls to say that a trade's going to happen, give me the picks. I can't stand it. Anyway, the Texans, they trade up to number 1, and they're going to take quarterback from Alabama, Bryce Young. Is he a little bit undersized? Sure, but I'll be real with you. I don't think that Houston trades up to take Bryce Young. I don't think any team trades up to take Young. I think if a trade-up happens, it's going to be for another quarterback with a little bit more upside. So that means now the number 2 pick is here, Chicago. And guess what? They're going to trade back again. It's going to be the Indianapolis Colts this time, trading up. And the reason why I wanted to show y'all all the trades that happened, because I do think that there is a scenario where quarterbacks, they start flying off the board left and right, left and right. Indianapolis in this mock, they take another quarterback here, C.J. Stroud. There was a report that came out today around the Arizona Cardinals that said they would even be open to trading back from number 3. The more people who I talk to, I believe the one spot where the Raiders, if they do decide to actually trade up, it would be with Arizona at the number 3 pick. So just something to keep in mind. Now, when you look at the Cardinals, they would be on the clock. 2 quarterbacks go off the board. They're going to go with defense here. They're going to go with Will Anderson Jr., who I see as being the top outside linebacker, edge rusher in this year's class. Chicago, are they going to trade back again? No. I'll tell you this, if the Bears traded back not only once but twice and still got Jalen Carter at number 4, you'd feel really, really happy if you were a Chicago Bears fan, especially since you also have the most money and salary cap space, which now means the Seattle Seahawks, they're on the board here at number 5, but guess what? Another trade by Mel, and I do think it's important so you guys can see how much Mel thinks each trade is going to cost. Carolina Panthers are definitely a team to watch out for in terms of trading up to get a quarterback, and in this scenario, they're going to trade up, and they're going to get Will Levis from Kentucky. So 3 QBs off the board. At number 6, cornerback from Oregon, who I really personally like, Christian Gonzalez. He goes to the Detroit Lions, and now, finally, the Las Vegas Raiders are officially on the clock. So my question to you is this. Let's say you're in the war room. You're sitting down next to Josh McDaniels. You're sitting down next to Dave Ziegler. And they look at you and they go, we need your help. Who are you going to take? Let me know down in the comment section. Not quite yet. And if you're like, well, Mitch, who are some of the other prospects that are still available? I'm glad you asked. So what you're going to see here is the top 10 prospects still left on the board. This is not the order that they went in. It's just the next 10 players that were drafted in this mock draft. So you got Peter Skoronski, who we've talked about multiple times. Devon Witherspoon, cornerback out of Illinois. Jackson Smith and Jigba. Michael Mayer, Darnell Wright, Anthony Richardson, Tyree Wilson, Joey Porter Jr., Will McDonald, Anton Harrison, a lot of different options. So I'm going to ask you one more time, and we are going to make this the pinned comment on today's show. So you're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. I want you to scroll on down in the comment section right now and let me know who should the Raiders draft at number 7. With the number 7 pick in Mel Kiper's mock draft, they are going to go with Devon Witherspoon, cornerback out of Illinois. So my job here is to be able to tell you what Mel did, in case you don't pay for ESPN+. But not only that, I'm now going to tell you what exactly I think about Witherspoon, how he would fit with the Raiders, some strengths, some weaknesses, and then what I would have done with that number 7 pick. I like Witherspoon. I will say his stock is really starting to climb. He was a player where if you would have told me we could get him at number 38, would have absolutely loved it. Here at 7, it is a little bit of a reach to me. At 6'1", 180 pounds, he's got a lot of upside to me. He is a really good corner, and he's shown that he has gotten better each and every season in the Big Ten. This is what Mel Kiper had to say on why the Raiders could potentially take Witherspoon. Quarterback, offensive tackle, edge rusher, defensive back. The Raiders could go several ways here, including trading up. Like the Panthers, we'll see much of the Raiders' offseason plan over the next month. They need a quarterback who can play right away. That's not Anthony Richardson, a project who is the other first-round passer in this class. They're more likely to be a player in the veteran market. I don't think Richardson is a fit. Now, one of my notes that I have said multiple times around Anthony Richardson is, you can see right here, it's from a video earlier in the week, I do think that he needs at least 1 year to learn behind a vet. That's if you want Richardson as your long-term option. I like his vision. His mechanics are terrible. He is an athletic freak. He is one of the most athletically gifted quarterbacks that I have seen in quite some time. And yes, he does remind me of Cam Newton from his running ability. Here, though, continue to roll with what Kiper had to say on the Raiders taking Witherspoon. The other direction could be corner, as Las Vegas ranked 31st in QBR allowed and tied for last in interceptions. Witherspoon is coming off an elite season, allowing 3.3 yards per attempt and 0 touchdowns as the primary defender in coverage. There's no doubt about it. The Silver and Black need help in the secondary. Do they also need help on other levels of the defense? Sure they do. But you need to be able to find a Rockison replacement who is going to be a free agent. You got Nate Hobbs. But after that, there's a lot of question marks. I know the Raiders like Bryce Cosby. I know they like Sam Webb. Both of those guys, though, are UDFAs. I know they like Tyler Hall. They've already given him a 1-year deal. But again, he was just newly signed like in week 9. You got Amik Robertson. He's not even a McDaniels guy. This team will add a corner, and there's a lot of good depth in this year's cornerback class. The question is, do you take somebody at number 7? And at 6'1", he has a big frame, and he'd be willing and be an able tackler. He could be the Raiders' top corner as a rookie. So right there, Mel is saying that Witherspoon is a better cornerback than Nate Hobbs. I hear that, and I'm like, okay, fair enough. If you're telling me right now we're going to be able to find a corner that's instantly better than Hobbs, I get the fact that he's coming off a weak season as a sophomore. But as a rookie, Hobbs was really freaking good in the slot. We will have to see what ends up going down. So here we go. The nation, let's get loud, man. Let's say we're sitting there. It's going to be draft night. Jeremy Chuggs and I are going to be live for the entire NFL draft. But you're sitting at home. You're watching the Raiders Sport. Hell, even if you're not, you're at the bar. And freaking Goodell walks up there, and this is the pick. This is the pick. Witherspoon at number 7. How would you grade it? A, B, C, D, or F? I want to know from you down in the comments. My grade on Witherspoon, I like him as a player. But to me, if you were to take him at number 7, it is just an average move for the Raiders coming off a season where you went 6-11. I'm not looking for an average move. With Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler, I am looking to hit a home run. And when the amount of, I'll say, depth at the cornerback position, it just seems like a very meh type of move. If he turns out to be an all-pro type of corner, I'll take an L on that take. And I do like him as a prospect. I don't want that to get twisted. But taking somebody at number 7, there is a whole nother level of expectation. And realistically, the only cornerback that I would like to be able to take in the top 10 after re-looking at the cornerback market is probably Christian Gonzalez. And him in this mock draft, he was already off the board. Is he coming off an incredible season with Illinois? No doubt about it. 41 tackles, 14 PBUs, 3 interceptions. And then he's not afraid to even get a few tackles for losses. Like, he's not afraid to hit dudes. In 2021, his season, 8.5 tackles for loss. If I'm going to take a corner, though, in the top 10, he better be shut down. Was he shut down? Yes, he was. But going up against the Big Ten does make me a little bit nervous. Last season, he was targeted 62 times, gave up 22 grabs, 206 yards, no touchdowns, a quarterback rating 25.3. It is all very, very impressive. But to me, Witherspoon is already good. Can he be elite? That I still do not know. I know Christian Gonzalez has the upside. He can be elite to me. Joey Porter Jr. also to me has elite traits. Devon Witherspoon is a hell of a player. But for you to take him at number 7, that to me is a C- grade. When I do my grading, A is elite, B is good, C is average. I would say it would be a slightly below average pick by this Raiders team. So if I'm going to say C-, if I'm going to say it would be a below average pick, I would not be doing my job as a host if I didn't give you, well, give me some better options, right? Because if we're settling for C's around here, we're just not doing the right things. So what I have done in the draft, this is where it's going to go. If you want to go 3 routes, because that's where I think the Raiders can go. If you're in this mock draft, you're in this scenario, there's 3 routes. Route number 1, there's going to be the guy that says, I want a quarterback. I want to swing for the home run. And if you want to go QB, the only guy left there to take is Anthony Richardson. Yeah, I got Hendon Hooker as my number 5 QB. Not going in the first round. I wouldn't even take him in round 2 if I'm being real with you. So when you look at Richardson, he should scare the shit out of you. He should. And if you're watching this live, luckily for you, I got a segment around Richardson. If you're watching this on a later date, I got a segment on Wednesday coming out around Richardson. Why? Because he's going to be the most tantalizing prospect at the NFL Scouting Combine because his upside is here. But his floor might be down there. And if you're willing to take the risk and you're willing to put in the work, he can be a legit quarterback. Now, here's your other option. You could go best cornerback available. My number 1 guy was Christian Gonzalez, who unfortunately was off the board here. So then your other options are, do we look for other upside? Do we look for another position? Because for me, if you're going to take Witherspoon, that means you're eyeing in on the cornerback spot. Like, no matter what, you were going to take a corner. The only corner that I would like to take at number 7 is Christian Gonzalez. And if he's off the board, I'm going to go a different route. The other option is this. You build for the future. And what do I mean by this exactly? I would take best player on the board, and at that point, the best player on my board was Peter Skoronski. I think he's the best overall offensive lineman. Yeah, he's probably going to be a guard, but the more and more I think of how this Raiders offseason is going to go, you're going to have Colton Miller as your left tackle. They're going to move on from Andre James. I believe they're going to kick Dylan Parham in at center, which then means you could put Skoronski at left guard. If it's Colton Miller, Peter Skoronski, Dylan Parham is the left side of your offensive line, and then you re-sign Jermaine Illuminor, you got to find another right guard. That is a great offensive line to build for the future and for a long time. Because if you're not going to take a QB at 7, oh, man, you better get yourself a quarterback in next year's draft. And any quarterback would love to play behind an offensive line with those 3 players as your left side and more than likely your blind side. If you haven't already interacted with me on social media, what the heck are you waiting for? Twitter, IG, you know where to find me. Today's my anniversary with my girlfriend, Alex. So I'm going to be posting some pictures of what we do at dinner. I was going to say what we do tonight, but just at dinner. If you want more Raiders news, at MitchellRens365. And if you want even more exclusive content, it's over on Locals, RaidersReport.locals.com.